But either way, there'll be a cost, and I guess it's you having to figure out what's the cost that you're willing to bear or pay.
But family time can turn volatile because they start bickering, they start arguing in front of me. So it becomes an issue. When you're drained, it can be so easily to then latch onto something that drains you further, whether that be like a social media scroll hole or going to bed late or eating the wrong thing. Welcome back to part 2 of the therapy floor. We've just answered a dilemma. What was it about, V?
It was about a friend struggling with another friend's apparent lack of motivation to change things that they were complaining about, and they wanted help with, do I give them more advice? Do I continue to step up and be this person for them, or how do I deal with my own frustration? So it's quite a good one. Feel free to check it out.
And we're going to just dive straight into dilemma number 2. Here we go. I'm a 35-year-old male who has reached a complete breakdown due to my parents' volatile relationship. They've been in conflict for as long as I can remember, talking about divorce since I was 7, but they've never gone through with it. Now they refuse to separate because they claim they can't live without each other, yet they're incapable of being civil. Their constant fighting has taken a toll on my mental and physical health. I've been caught in the middle for decades, trying to mediate, keep the peace, but it really is becoming too much. Recently, I had a complete breakdown, overwhelmed by the stress of their never-ending conflict. I'm terrified this situation is going to make me physically unwell, or worse, lead to something happening to me. I've tried to talk to them, tell them how their behaviour is affecting me, but their response has been dismissive, saying if something happens to me, then it happens.
Oh.
I know. I'm at my wit's end, feeling hopeless and desperate for a way to protect myself from the emotional damage their relationship is causing. But I don't know how to distance myself without completely abandoning them.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I feel so sad.
Do you?
Yeah, just, because I guess normally we'd be saying like, can you tell them how you're feeling? And this person is saying, like, this man is saying, I told them how I'm feeling. I'm telling them it's too much. I'm having a breakdown. And their response is, well, if something happens to you, it happens to you.
Tough.
I know, tough, yeah.
Does he live with them? No.
We don't know that.
Okay.
But he hasn't said anything about like having his own family.
Okay. Oh.
But he's saying constant fighting, so I'm imagining
That they live together.
or that they're seeing each other regularly. Yeah, that's a hard one, isn't it? To be told tough.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing this, and if this is impacting you, sorry. Like, but not in a sorry, what can I do? But sorry, that's your problem.
I think now it really is your problem, because now you have to make the decision to look after yourself and your own well-being, because they are choosing not to, and they've in so many words told you that they will not be choosing your health and prioritizing your well-being. So now it kind of is your problem to address and to resolve and to decipher where your boundaries lie. I think it is harder if you are living with them. Well, actually, maybe not. Maybe it's just equally as hard, because if you are living with them, I would be wondering if you've considered moving out and the different ramifications that could bring up. When it comes to, your financial situation, your parents' financial situation, what this would mean for the family. But again, there's a cost either way, isn't it? If you stay, if you don't. If you're not living at home, I wonder if there is a way for you to have some distance physically, but also emotionally. I don't know if they're calling you up. Either one of them is calling you up and saying, oh, your dad said this, your mum said this, and this is what's going on. And whether you just choose to distance yourself and say, I can't listen to this, I'm really sorry, I'll have to go. But either way, there'll be a cost, and I guess it's you having to figure out what's the cost that you're willing to bear or pay.
I feel like your body's telling you though. Like the fact that you've had a breakdown, the body keeps score of it all, and the body is saying to you like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
You're burnt out. Like even from reading that, you sound so burnt out, and you might not be able to make any changes quickly. But to me, you know, the word respite comes to mind. It sounds like you need some respite from all of this. And I'm wondering if there are, for example, like if you are living with them, or even if you're not, but let's say you are living with them, are there other family members or friends that you can go to stay with to just get a break from it all? And if you are not living with them, but you hear from them regularly, can it be either that you know, acknowledge with them that you won't be answering their calls, or that if they call you, you will just let another family member know to call them back? Like, I'm just wondering who else is around you that can support you to either pick up some of these pieces that you're holding for your parents at the moment, and or give you a space to go and get some respite and some physical care and some emotional care.
Yeah.
Because you need both at the moment. Your body needs to be looked after. Your mind needs to be looked after. You've reached out to your parents and said, can you do this? Can you help me with this to help you guys? And they've said no. That's heartbreaking. Like, it's utterly heartbreaking, but it doesn't have to be the end. You know, sometimes it's not always our parents who can give us what we need.
Yeah.
We might be fortunate enough to have other people in our lives that can take up those spaces for us. And that doesn't have to end like when you're 18 and become an adult. Like, that can continue happening throughout your life. So I'm wondering, you know, if this has been going on since you were 7, who were the other adults that were around? Was there anyone else that helped navigate you through this? Are you talking to them now? Are you helping them now? Or are they helping you now? Do you still have a relationship with them? And are you able to tap into that?
Yeah. I'm also thinking that maybe we like to think about toxic relationships, right, and how they're so harmful. But toxic relationships can also work in the sense that it works for the people that are in it. They still have a relationship. They still find a way to be with each other. And I wonder if your parents are telling you that they're okay with how this is. And even though they threaten divorce and they've been threatening it for years, they have also said that they can't live without each other. So I'm wondering if there's an element of actually acceptance for this is their situation, acceptance of the chaos that they're in, and maybe you can leave them to it and see what changes, if anything changes. Do they find a new way of being with each other when they're left with each other? If they're saying that they can't be without each other and they can't change for anyone else, I wonder what happens if, when I say you leave them to it, I mean that you leave their relationship to them to figure out, and you stay out of it, and you let them know that I'm kind of honouring myself and my needs, and I'm also honouring yours in you saying that you can't take on board what I need. So when it comes to the two of you talking about your relationship, please leave me out of it. I'm here for anything else. I'm here for family time. I'm here for helping you out around the house. I'm not here for hearing about your relationship.
Let's try something here.
Okay.
Because I'm just wondering if this person is going to respond with, yeah, I am there for family time, but family time can turn volatile because they start bickering, they start arguing in front of me. So it becomes an issue. how would we support him through that? What would be a tip we would give him?
Leave.
I was going to say that too.
If you notice that the conversation is now gearing towards fights, say, okay guys, remember we discussed this? This is my cue to leave. I'll see you next time. Bring some humour into it if you need to.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you don't even necessarily need to leave the building. Like, it can even be like, oh, okay, you guys are getting into it.
I'm going to leave.
I'm just going to leave the room.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'll come and check in like 10 minutes if you're done.
Yeah. Or you don't even have to say that, because then it becomes about managing them. Almost like, I'm going to check in with you, see how you're both doing.
Or maybe even say it to yourself, like, I can check in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I put my head in. Oh,
Yeah.
no, they're still on. Okay, I'll go. I can do something for myself.
Yeah. And I don't want that to come across as a quite flippant thing to say, well, just leave. But I think actually physically removing yourself is better than you actually shutting you down. We could give you techniques for breathing, letting your mind go somewhere else, but then we're encouraging you to disassociate, and to disassociate from your body, and your body telling you what you need, which is, this is harmful to me, let me leave it.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it in a kind of like, just leave.
You don't need to soak it up. You don't need to be witness to it, because your body's already told you, I can't handle this.
Yeah.
Like,
This is not good for me.
This is not good for me. So then when and I think it's likely that you will still witness it, but there's a difference between witnessing like the start of something happening to being like, oh, it's happening, I'll just stay and watch the whole thing now. Like, that's where you start to take that responsibility for yourself that we were talking about at the start, to then say, if you're not going to stop, I'm not even going to ask you to stop. And you don't even have to say this to them.
No.
Like, do you carry on?
Yeah.
If that's your love language, keep doing it. But I will remove myself, my mental health, my physical health away from this situation.
Yeah. And they've had, like you said, decades of being this way with each other. It's not to say that you removing yourself will mean that they immediately change and figure out how they interact without a third party there. Because they've had a long time of being this way, but I think it could actually still have an impact on them.
But I would focus on the impact it has on you.
Yeah.
Because in a way, I don't want it to come across like, like threatening. Like, I'm gonna get like my needs met by threatening you, by walking away. Like, I think do it from the place of, I'm getting my needs met for myself. It's actually got nothing to do with you.
Yes.
Like, you're not taking care of me, I'm taking care of me. I've asked you to stop arguing, and that's not worked. But now this is me taking responsibility for myself.
Yeah.
Because that does happen, doesn't it? I think there can be this quite toxic way that people think that if I threaten something, the other person will stop.
Change.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So I think that's, like you say, it's important to say, I'm kind of honouring my needs here. I'm looking after myself here. And they could also say, and I'm also trying to meet your expectations as well, and not giving you the responsibility of looking after me in this situation, when actually the issue is between the two of you, not me.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like looking out for all of us.
Yeah.
By looking out for myself.
Yeah. And I would also encourage you to, like, when you know you're spending time with them and these things are likely to happen, I'd also encourage you to think about if you do something that drains you, what can you do afterwards that fills you up? Because often, like, when you're drained, it can be so easily to then latch onto something that drains you further, whether that be like a social media scroll hole, or going to bed late, or eating the wrong things, or talking about it in quite a draining way with other people, like, like a bitch fest with like other family members. So I'm just wondering, like, when these things do happen, again, taking that level of responsibility for yourself, what can you do afterwards to fill yourself up? And it might be things like working out, going for a walk, being in nature, watching something that uplifts you, reading, journaling. Think about what comes after rather than what you're just left with. How do you add in the full stop?
I like that. I feel like we've answered that.
Yeah, that was a quick one.
It was quick, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
I feel like we've really come full circle. It also reminds me of the previous dilemma where we spoke about, you know, what do you need? Like making sure you look after yourself and maybe adapting or changing the role that you have in other people's lives, particularly if they're not asking you to play that role, or if they are asking you but you realise actually this is beyond your capacity. So yeah, maybe that's why we've kind of like come through it quite quickly, because it's a little bit of a similar feel to it.
It's like the flip side of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's also just reminding me of like a Stoic philosophy and a principle of, and even a psychological principle, you know, something we talk about a lot in therapy, which is you can't change other people.
No.
Like, we're not here to change other people. Like, if it's not working for you, go in. Like, what do you need to do for you? And that will be your guiding principle of how you navigate this burnout that you're experiencing with your family.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's been helpful.
Yeah, thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you so much for sending in your dilemmas. I feel like both of them were really relatable today, and especially the themes that came up from both of them. So please continue to send us your dilemmas, and you can email them to hello@thetherapyfloor.com. But for now, this is Dr. Ritz.
And this is Dr. Vicky.
And we will see you on the floor soon.
Bye.
Bye.